Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday morning. This is one of my favorite days of the week. And for most people, it's like, oh, it's Monday. But I love Mondays. And one of the reasons I love Mondays is because we get a chance to start all over again on Monday mornings, right? We can take the lessons we learned from last week. We've had the weekend to kind of recuperate. Now we take those lessons and we apply them in our lives and our business moving forward this week and allowing us to grow even more than we have so far. So, welcome to Monday morning, one of my favorite times. Today we're also going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is leadership, because it's such a critical area of our lives. And if you want to be a successful entrepreneur or success in other areas of your life, leadership is extremely important. So let's talk a little bit about leadership. There's several areas of our lives that we can lead in. We can be a leader in our families. We can be a leader with our friends. We can be a leader at work, in teams, in charities, in our community, and so much more. We can learn how to be the hero that others need us to be as we are an effective leader. It means forgetting about yourself and instead focusing on the goals of your organization or your family or your community and the happiness and the comfort of your team that's involved in that. And when you do that, it's easy to be a courageous leader. So today I want to walk you through 7 habits of outstanding leaders and see if you can apply some of these in your life. You don't have to do them all at once. You pick a place and you start, but it's good to know what the 7 are and how you can apply them in your life. So let's get started. What makes a great leader? It's actually the daily and even moment to moment actions that you take to grow personally and professionally. There are specific habits, love that word, that you can follow that will allow you to lead with peace and strength and courage. So, the first habit, I'm going to briefly go over these habits and then we'll dive into each one in more depth. Okay. The first habit is one thing that you can do every day that builds immediate confidence and success. You're going to be shocked at this one when we get into the details. Habit number 2 is moving through your day. You're going to face opportunities to put your core values to action when you're making decisions. In section 2 of this, we're going to cover how to choose those values. Habit number 3 is to discover how to exercise your creative muscles so you'll be able to think and lead in new ways. Habit number 4, working with a team can be challenging work. We all know that, right? So it's important to remain mindful, authentic, and trusting of others in order to create a cohesive team. We'll cover how to do that in section number 4. Habit number 5, in order to build a team that meshes and gels well, that works well together, there's one key ingredient that you must have, and that is trust. So, we're going to talk about 4 ways that you can build trust as a leader. Habit number 6, we're going to look at the important concepts of authenticity, self compassion, and communication. And finally, in habit number 7, we're going to talk about uh, how strong leadership needs strong mental and physical toughness. And we'll cover some ways to exercise your mind and your body. These habits are great ways to move one step forward on your journey as a leader. So, are you ready to get going? Let's figure them out. All right, I told you were going to be shocked by habit number 1. This one thing that you can do every day, and I know every person listening can do this one thing. Are you ready? Make your bed when you get out of bed. Start by making your bed every morning. You're building a muscle, you're building a habit that will set a trend for your day, and you won't regret it. There's even an entire book about it called Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World by William H. McCraven. And he outlines the benefits of starting every day with a made bed. Most importantly, it leads to a better day. It's a really small action that goes a long way. This one action is the catalyst for a day of success. Think about that. How simple is that? And how much were you told as a child to make your bed, right? You had no idea you were building a habit to create more success in your day. You're starting the day with a positive action that leads to more positive action. And before you know it, the stream of inspiration continues to more success. Being a leader starts with your own source of confidence, and making your bed helps with that. Now, in order to better focus on your own feelings of strength, there are simple behavior modifications that you can make that will increase confidence. Part of this is building on success. You can do that one small thing, make your bed, and use that as a springboard to more positivity. So it's all about sticking to a routine. You start the day off right with a definite action that marks the beginning of your day. Making your bed is a great way to cue your mind to kick into gear and start the day. By doing this, you're establishing a solid morning routine. Now, some of you may be in the situation that I'm in where I can't make my bed first thing in the morning. And the reason I can't is because my husband and I have different sleep cycles. And so he's up late, I go to bed early. I'm up early, he rises a little bit later. So he's still in bed usually when I get up. I get up at 5 normally, and he's still usually in bed. So I can't make my bed. So what I've done then is substitute a different routine. I come into my office and I write in my journal. I write my gratitudes as well as just my regular journal writing. I do my gratitudes. I attempt to do 10 of those a day. I don't always make it, but that's my attempt. And then I read my scriptures and I have a prayer. And those are the things that I do in place of making my bed. Now, later on, hopefully I get that bed made. And oftentimes my husband makes the bed when he gets up. And that is a real treat for me when I walk into the bedroom and see that that bed is already made. I love it. It makes me feel very loved. So let's talk a little bit more about how this one habit can strengthen your ability to lead. Okay, first it provides a consistent structure. Routines are a really important part of each day because they provide a consistent structure. And this structure provides a stability that is the key to outstanding leadership, or one of the keys, because it gives you strength and peace of mind at the very beginning of the day. Second, it's predictable. By knowing exactly what your morning looks like, you're able to avoid any unnecessary confusion or indecision. You know that when you get up in the morning, you're making your bed. I know when I get up in the morning, I'm coming to my office, I'm sitting in my lovely chair over here on the side, my little they call them a cigar chair, a little chair here, very comfortable. I sit in it, put my feet up on the ottoman, and I write in my journal and I read my scriptures, and then I have my prayer. I know that's what I'm doing every single morning. I don't have to think about it. This predictability decreases anxiety because your mind doesn't need to be wondering, what's my day going to be like? What's going on? All of that. It erases that. You're doing something very predictable every day. And it creates greater self discipline. Sticking to a morning routine increases self discipline in all areas. This habit requires intention and patience. This ritual will provide an inner strength that will permeate all of your affairs, making you a stronger leader. And finally, it provides satisfaction. Regardless of the day you've had, you always get to come back to that bedroom, come back to home, to a made bed. When you walk into your bedroom, it looks lovely. It feels good, and you get that satisfaction of the morning routine coming full circle for you. When you unmake your bed and you tuck yourself in at night, you feel a sense of satisfaction regardless of the outside stressors. Now, it's really important to set up the first hour or two of your day to be the same every morning. Maybe for you, it's getting up and going into exercise, but something, whatever it is that you do first thing every morning, every morning. That's the key. Every morning. Start with making your bed or whatever it is that you establish. See if you can go the first hour of your day without checking your email or your social media. You want to remain peaceful and slowly begin your day. The only thing I do with my phone during that first hour is I turn off the alarm on it, and then I use it for a flashlight to get from my bedroom to my office. And then I read the scriptures on it. Other than that, I don't go to my email and I don't go to my social media until I've done my morning routine. So stay away from the social media and emails, all of that for a while. And remember too that if you have trouble sleeping, establishing a nightly routine is a great way to get you to sleep better. Turn off the technology at least an hour before bed. So we're not dealing with it in the morning, but we're also turning it off before we go to bed. Take time to slow your mind and relax. It can be really hard to go from work mode to chill mode, but this transition is important. If you don't take time to let yourself slow your thoughts and be mindful, you're likely to experience more stress. How many times have you gone to bed at night because you worked late or you were doing something until you went to bed and you couldn't get your brain to shut down? It just wouldn't stop, right? You can always count on if you can always count on your mornings and your nights looking the same, you'll feel a better sense of security throughout your day. Life's always uncertain. And that's really the only thing we can be certain of, right? Is that life is uncertain. But you can implement a structure that will help tether you to the present moment. All right. So then we want to take a look at habit number 2, which is act according to your values. Your values are the core concepts that can be used as guidelines for living. They're limitless possibilities for what values you can use to guide your leadership. Based on how you live and you work, you can evaluate your priorities and decide upon your core values. I have a sheet up here on top of the file cabinet next to my desk that has my brand philosophy, it has my core values, and my brand mission and vision statement, or vision statement, I should say. And so they're always there in front of me. And I encourage you to when you work out what your values are, type them up, print them out, put them in front of you where you see them always. Make sure that you're always living by them. So let's look at some techniques to help you clarify those values. First, what type of leader do you want to be? An effective way to approach the prospect of choosing your values is by looking at what type of leader you want to be. How do you want to treat difficult situations? When have you felt like a good leader in the past? What was happening? What were the things that were occurring at that time that you can recognize your values in? Write down the things that are important to you. And while choosing your values, it may be helpful to write them down and think through what it will look like when you're acting upon those values. Let me share a little story with you. Years ago, when I had my staffing firm, we did a lot of work in the personality realm. And one day we had taken all of our staff out to dinner, and we had gone through, after dinner, we went through this personality process where we helped them understand who they were and who everybody else on the team was, from some couple of different personality profiles, one of which was really designed for team building. And the next morning, my business partner and I went out to breakfast together, and we got a phone call during breakfast saying, "We just had a cat fight." Well, I said, "Oh, no, you didn't. That is just not possible. That's not the organization that we're creating." We got to the office and we found these two young women who'd had a row with one another. They'd gotten on the bad side of each other that morning. We took them into the conference room and we wrote their personality pictures up on the board, on a whiteboard. We also allowed them each to bring a champion into the meeting with them, someone else on staff who knew them well and was their friend and could maybe help them express things that they might not be able to express well themselves. It was very clear where the conflict was for these two young women. And we were able to then help them resolve that conflict and understand one another. And I have a picture of them standing in front of the counter after the meeting, hugging one another. Now, did that end all of their problems? No, but it certainly went a long way towards that. And they understood why they reacted differently to situations. So, one of your leadership, your core values might be compassion, consideration. Look for those things, those events in your life where you acted as a leader, and identify the values that you were operating from, and then prioritize them. It's important to choose a small selection of values rather than dozens. And at first, you can choose any values that sound applicable, but once you have a good selection of them, narrow it down to those values based on how important they are to your mission. So, sticking to just a few guiding principles makes the evaluations of decisions so much simpler. Envision what your life will be like if you based your decisions and actions on the principles that you most value. When you see yourself in that light, you'll be motivated to move towards the positive action in your own daily life. When you're leading a team, it can be hard to see what the future holds. It can be almost impossible. And just because you're lighting the way doesn't mean you always know where you're going. It's a journey, right? So use your values like street lamps lighting the way. You make a wrong turn or a wrong move, you find that you've hit a detour, but when you reassess the situation and align your values, you'll be able to do the next right thing. The third habit of outstanding leaders is to be creative. Creativity is a major factor in leadership. In fact, it frequently separates the good from the great. Outstanding leaders are creative. An ability to think quickly and to do so outside of the box is a skill that can be harnessed by embracing creativity in new ways. So, try a few of these things to spark your creativity. The first one is writing. And this is something I encourage folks to do frequently. And I'm going to give you a few examples. The first one is journaling. I mentioned my journaling earlier, and there are many wonderful benefits of keeping a journal. It Consistent journaling can help you heal emotionally. It's a great resource during times of stress or confusion, and that works in two ways. One is by getting your thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper. You may be able to stand back and see your concerns from a new perspective and see new options. The other thing is when you've kept a journal and now you're going through a particularly difficult time, you could go back through your journal entries and see how you handled difficult times in the past, what worked for you and what didn't. You can use it as a guide to help you move forward now. And then another type of writing is what's called morning pages. Uh, and it's described as sitting down and you do this stream of consciousness, writing everything that comes into your head. It gives you an immediate outlet where you can lay out any thoughts that can be bogging you down. Think of your morning pages time as an opportunity to clean out your mind and rid yourself of unnecessary anxieties or cares. Leave all of your comments on the page so that you can go out and embrace your day. It's encouraged that you do 3 pages of that. That may be kind of difficult to start with. So don't even worry if you can't do a whole page. Just avoid putting any pressure on yourself to complete those 3 pages or any specific amount. Over time, you'll work your way up, but just do that brain dump, get all of those thoughts onto paper. Another way is to make something. This is a way of harnessing your creativity. Whether your specialty is programming or tap dancing or making something with your hands, it opens your mind to being creative in new ways. New experiences in creating art unleash your mind because you get to stretch it in new directions. Now, for me, I'm not an artist. So the thought of actually drawing or painting something is intimidating to me. But what I can do is I can grab one of these great coloring books that are out these days, and I have 2 or 3 of them sitting by my chair that I like to sit in the evenings. And I have 2 or 3 of them, and I have 2 buckets of markers to use on those, okay? I can get creative with that, and I can allow that to be both relaxing and stimulating at the same time, stimulating my creativity while taking away stress. So let's explore a little bit more about making something new. Again, start easy with a coloring book if you need to, something from that, and work your way up to maybe painting or sculpture. Maybe you have more talent than I do. So start wherever you want to start. The important thing is to choose something that's a different type of creative than you're used to. And then you want to reap the benefits. Trying new creative endeavors leads to decreased anxiety and increased peace of mind. It means taking risks. It means believing in the impossible and dreaming the biggest dreams. By embracing new ways of thinking, your mind will awaken to new pathways of innovation. Doesn't that sound exciting? It does to me. Being creative also allows for faster and more effective problem solving, which is a critical skill for strong leaders. This new type of experience will ripple into many aspects of your leadership style, enabling you to think in new ways. And then be flexible. Part of creativity is the ability to be flexible, especially when challenges appear in your path. Obstacles don't mean that the path is ruined. Instead, obstacles tell us that there's a more effective route to your goal. Sometimes obstacles lead us to the goal in a way we never would have seen without that hiccup. I could probably tell you many stories on that one. So try these strategies to strengthen your ability to be flexible. First is go with the flow. Life is uncertain, and unfortunately, we can't control everything. Excuse me. It's especially important to remain flexible during times of stress or confusion. And goodness knows, everything is constantly evolving right now, right? Keep an open mind. Flexibility requires an ability to meet unusual circumstances with an open mind and a motivation to push forward. Outstanding leaders respond to the needs of their team and they take steps accordingly. For example, when a potential issue appears, it may be necessary to set aside the planned work for the day to address the need. Responding to this deviation can be handled calmly and seamlessly. Instead of resisting the current needs, embrace the new direction and see where it leads. This tactic will also ensure that the highest priority items are done first, even if they sneak up on you. Teams run like a well oiled machine when everyone is willing to have an open mind. And then let go of expectations. As a leader, it's important to be able to let go of certain expectations. And this can be very difficult to do because many of us are control freaks, self included, but it will help foster new ideas and attention to detail. One behavior modification that you can do today is imagine what it would be like to let go of expectations. You don't even have to let go of the expectations yet. Simply imagine what it might be like to enter the day without expectations. Let go of your idea of how the day must go. What would happen if you let go completely and address the present moment? So instead of thinking 5 steps ahead of your current conversation, try focusing on each word and each idea as they come. It is that ability to remain flexible in the moment is essential to remaining flexible. The fourth is practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness has become hugely popular, and for good reason. There are many benefits to mindfulness that bring about noticeable change. The benefits of a regular and consistent mindfulness practice are overwhelming, especially in moments of stress. This emotion regulation tool brings about peace in the storm. As a leader, it's especially important to be able to stay calm and lead your team out of a crisis. The inner peace that mindfulness brings you is ideal in helping you through such situations. And by practicing it for just 10 minutes a day, you'll enjoy the benefits that come with a consistent routine. There's a lot out there on the internet on mindfulness meditations, and I encourage you to explore it. It is, the purpose of mindfulness meditation is to come to the present moment with awareness, with no goal, no, not even the goal of having no thoughts, just no goal. So don't worry when your mind wanders, just bring it back. Okay. So, due to the interest of time, we're not going to spend a lot of time on mindfulness, but I encourage you to explore it and explore mindful practices. The sort of energy that comes from mindfulness is contagious, and soon your whole team will also feel at ease. It will enable you to create a culture of calm. And by doing so, you're creating a team of people who are secure and willing. This can lead to powerful new ideas that will continue to make the world a better place. Habit number 5 is to trust others. So, here are some strategies that you can use in that process to empower your team and lead them to greater success. Don't be afraid to delegate, hand off assignments. Your leadership will shine brightest through the accomplishments of others. Watch the magic that can happen when you give your team the power to adventure to their own success. Empower your team. Allow others to take the reins. Now, at first, sometimes that seems counterintuitive. If you already know how to do something well, it can be difficult to let someone who doesn't know how to do it to make an attempt. But it's really important. By allowing others to take new leaps, they'll feel more secure in pursuing the team's mission. Allow room for innovation. A culture of trust and follow through will help develop leaders within your community, and these leaders will inspire their peers. This spread out leadership leads to a special kind of collaboration. When all parties feel present, valued, and empowered, new innovations can take place. And be sure you're thinking long term. You know, with each passing year, there's even more inspiring innovation. And that innovation was born out of brave leaders taking leaps. The future is happening in every moment. There's constant newness, constant freshness, always forward. Allowing everyone on your team to be a leader and giving everyone the power to pursue growth inevitably leads to innovation. As their leader, you've inspired those around you to create this environment of success. But finally, give direction. Have no fear. Letting others take new risks doesn't mean that you have to stand by while mistakes are made. These situations are great chances for you to provide guidance and mentorship. You can always teach something new to those you lead. As a leader, you have the opportunity to guide those who have never walked the path that you have. Habit number 6 is to be authentic. We can go on about that in some other sessions. There's so much to that. Remember to live by your values. They're so important. It doesn't mean you need to share your deepest personal details with everyone you meet. Be authentic in the moment, whatever the situation is. Leaders who remain true to their authentic selves are likely to be well respected and well liked. Remember to have self-compassion. It's pivotal to authenticity because it allows you to be okay with being yourself. And finally, number 7 is exercise and mental health, making sure that we are taking care of our own bodies and increasing blood flow to our brain. You're going to make some missteps along the way. There are going to be some difficult days, but a truly outstanding leader uses coping skills and simple behavior modifications to come back into focus and keep pushing towards the impossible. Being a leader is a big responsibility, and there's no singular right way to do it. However, the best way to start is by starting. Start anywhere. Choose one thing out of what we've gone over and start with that. And then go. Move forward. Lead. I look forward to seeing you next week here on Pursuing Profit with Principles. Have an amazing week.
Welcome to the Diamond Spotlight interview. I am Barbara Beckley, the founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to empower women to understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive. And this platform is to make sure to increase their visibility and shine like a diamond to the world. Today we are spotlighting another queen diamond. You know I call the ladies queens because they are, and they shine just like diamonds throughout the world in what they do and what they have an impact in people's lives. So today we have a wonderful lady. Her name is Karen Wallington. She's an international known celebrity loctician, and we're going to get to know that more. Hairstylist with over 20 years experience in the care of styling and maintenance of dreadlocks and all hair types. Widely regarded as a leader in her industry, Karen is the founder of Toronto's renowned specialty salon, Mocklocks, and the co-founder of the groundbreaking new product line, Noggin Oil. Wallington has been featured in media across North America. She's been on Oprah.com, The List, Hair Advisors, and many, many more. So you know this lady is awesome, amazing already. Welcome, Queen Karen.
Hi, Barbara.
It's nice to have your presence. And just reading and looking at what you do, because I always do my little research of the queens that I bring in, and this is why I do this, because this is what's needed. People need to see who you are because of what you do and what the impact you have within the world. So thank you for doing that, and that's an honor.
Thank you.
So let's just get right into it. Let's get to know you, Miss. So, we just read you 20 years, you have established your own business and highly successful. So I want to know, and I think the listeners want to know too, what inspired you to get into the field of the hair care?
I was a makeup artist before I was a hairstylist. And the gentleman that I worked for, he was an Academy Award winning makeup artist, and I was highly inspired by him. And he sat me down one day, and I must have been maybe 20 years old. And he said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, I want to do makeup for movies and TV. And he said, well, if you go back to school and get your cosmetologist license, you'll be able to market yourself better because you can do hair and makeup. And so he inspired me to go to hair school. And I never even thought it would take me to where I am. But I feel, looking back, that perhaps he saw something in me. Like, he saw potential, but I don't think he saw me as a professional makeup artist. So he knew that whatever I was going to do, I was really going to get into. I have a lot of passion for my work and art. And so hair and makeup, I look at it as an art form, right? We're artists. Mm-hmm. And so when I went to school for hair, then it was at my apprenticeship where one of the hairstylists she wanted to get locks. And so she made all the assistants work on her, and we're like, I don't know what I'm doing. We don't know what.
It's like,
I was fascinated. I wanted to explore the manipulation of hair in an aesthetic manner without chemical.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah. Wow. See, it always takes, and I always tell people, this always takes somebody that's why I tell people you need to really listen when people are talking to you, especially in the positive way, because he's seen something in you, and he was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I know you probably was like, okay, what do I want to do in 5 years? That's a good question, because I know people ask me that. You used to ask me that too before I got to what I did, and it sparked something. It sparked something in you, and I'm glad it did, because look at where you are now. This is, from that point when you say you were in your 20s to now, and everything you accomplished, and to understand about the hair care, because I know, especially with our brown and black ladies, and I'm telling you, right, just alone took me a minute to get this done this morning. But if I can have you every day to come in and say, make me beautiful, I would love that. So it does take time and a lot of effort to learn, the craft of this. So I'm just curious, Where did the name, was it Modlocks originate from? That's the name of where did that originate from?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. This is my third rebrand in 20 years. So my first salon was called Pretty Eclectic because I'm pretty eclectic. And the second name was a little bit more playful. It was called Not Just Dreads, and it was not with a K, so Knot, not. And I had that company for just over 10 years. And what I found moving away from that, my responsibility in the community had evolved, my vision, my perception of how I wanted to brand myself evolved and grew. And I knew I wanted to actually move away from the word dread. So I knew in my head that I would have locks in the word. And I racked my brain for, I think, about a year and a half. You know, names go through my head, and I think branding is super important. And I love that you call this a diamond spotlight. I mean, diamond is such a great word, and we queen sparkle, right? So
yes, we do.
so I thought about it for, yeah, probably about a year and a half. And I remember it was the middle of the night, and I was like, okay, Karen, what do? I do modern day dreadlocks. Mod locks.
Oh,
So
okay.
I Googled, right? I Googled and I was like, oh my gosh, the .com's available. I was like, am I seeing things? So I took it. And then about another year and a half later, I gradually weaned myself out of the one brand into the new one. And since it's become Mod Locks about 4 years ago, it is just exploded. It's exploded.
Awesome. See, yeah, I know you grabbed it quick because I know usually when you see it's available, you gotta get it when it's there because you never know somebody's gonna take it. So I'm so glad that you were able to get it when you looked it up.
Yeah.
Because now that's your name, and that's awesome. I love how that you arrived to that. That's uniqueness. That's why I always tell, especially ladies, I say you have to be unique in your field. You want to be. That's why I'm always talking about the diamond, because you want to shine. And with the diamond, when you think about it, it shines. It has facets all over, and that's what you are. As being a diamond, as a Queen Diamond. So that's good that you are unique in that area. Now, it was mentioned, I was talking earlier in your bio, you started a new product line of hair care. Can you explain in more detail how that benefits concerning the line?
Yeah. I've been trying to solve a problem for 20 years as a loctician. And essentially, that problem is, how do I alleviate the discomfort in the pulling of the maintenance? So everybody has a different pain tolerance. Everybody has, some people, they find it actually almost relaxing to have the hair tightened.
Okay.
And with my technique, so I just need to kind of step into that. What separates me from a lot of other locticians are my techniques. So rather than traditional palming or interlocking, and I'm not, just to explain interlocking, to use a crochet hook that has a latch, okay, right? And you feed the lock through the root. I'm sure all your listeners know what interlocking is, but for some of you that don't. And there was a lot of demand for that, but there's also a lot of there's a lot of servicing of that. So I basically filled a niche because there was a need for maintenance, but many people didn't want the interlocking technique because it can weaken the root. It can create holes in the root if it's done insufficiently, and it can create a different aesthetic. So I ended up figuring out using a smaller crochet hook, not a latch hook, and actually matting the hair like felting. So felting is when you would take fibers and then bring them all together to create material. So essentially, I was trying to figure this out. This is before YouTube. This is before practically the internet. I mean, late 90s, early 2000s. And so with my technique, it is a little bit more sharp to the scalp, if you will. Interlocking can also be discomforting, right? If you do it too tightly, it can be very uncomfortable. So how do we alleviate that? How do we make it more comfortable? And I've been thinking for years, creams and ointments and I don't know, numbing creams, like all that stuff is very toxic.
Yeah.
And And one day I was like, well, essential oils are powerful. They, you know, there's an essential oil out there that can help in any facet of life. So I started to research it a little bit more. And then it dawned on me one day, rather than, rubbing it into the scalp directly, what kind of an applicator can we use? And I came up with the idea of using the roller bottle.
Oh, okay.
So the point of this is that you can target exactly where you
Oh,
want
there you
the
go.
oil.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so
Just,
this is essential oils of eucalyptus and peppermint. It's
mm,
a very, very intense medicinal, enlightening and lifting smell, right? So yes, you can use it if you're feeling a little bit
yeah.
overheated, right? And locks, it's hot. And especially if you're in hot climate, like you can just use it on the nape, in the temple area.
Mhm.
And so if somebody's servicing locks, it doesn't matter what technique you're using, they can roll it on before, during, or after the service. And what happens is it creates this cooling effect so that
Mm.
it's almost like a, not, I don't want to
And
say numbing,
yeah,
but it's,
because I'm thinking peppermint and kind of the eucalyptus is, I know it's really a cooling sensation.
yeah. And it just takes your temperature down. Like it's great. And so I have clients that don't even have locks or braids or any parted
They
hairstyles or
use
protective
it.
hairstyles. And they're like, I love this for headaches.
So you just started a whole nother other brand. Like, okay, not just for your loss, but hey, anything to make you feel, if you feel a certain
And
way.
for wigs
Yeah.
and weaves, right? Like it's hot under the wig, right? So
Mm.
that is also a benefit to it. There was
Mm.
just so many positive things that came from it. And the other half of that story is my client, Brian Phillips. He is the owner of World Hair and Skin and World Salon in Toronto. And he sat in my chair one day and he was telling me about a product he was working on to solve a problem. And I was like, I'm trying to do the same thing. So we're like, okay, this is divine timing, right? And together we
Mhm.
came up with the brand and we called it Noggin Oil because it's oil for your noggin. And his
Okay.
product is called Wash, our product. And he developed this so that you can cleanse your scalp without wetting your hair,
Really? Wow.
right?
Wow.
So if you want to just do a quick spray,
Yeah.
you can refresh yourself. Like if you're just like, oh, okay, I'm just outside and it's a little warm. But when you want to actually do a proper cleaning, you would take your braids or your locks, separate
Mhm.
them, and then you'd spray directly into the scalp and then use a wet washcloth and massage the scalp. So you don't actually have to
Get in
wash
the
or wet
water.
the
Yeah.
locks or the braids. Yeah.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
it's always fascinated me with locks because I've been back and forth in my mind because I know my beautician, she does my hair, and I went. It's been like over 20 years that I just went natural instead of doing because I was doing the perms and all those different styles a long time ago, and she kept saying, Barbara, it's really your hair is taking a lot from that. So I was like, well, yeah, because it was really getting thin, and because it's funny because my hair, I just cut it recently. She just cut it recently, but it was down to here. But then the top of my hair was real thin. I was bald almost. So that's when she said, get rid of perm, just stop it, and let's just make it natural. So then she started getting locks in her hair. And I
Okay.
was like, what is that? And because, me being ignorant, I was ignorant because I didn't know, because I'm not, beautician. I don't do all the wonderful things you all do with hair and makeup. So I'm sitting there like, what is that? And she said, it's locks. And I was like, okay, now you got to tell me the story about locks because I don't understand what it is. But one thing that she explained to me, and I was going to ask you because you're a professional at this, is that once get the locks in, you can leave it in for a long period of time. It doesn't help your hair under your hair, doesn't help it kind of get more uh, healthy or more
Yeah,
fuller.
well, I mean, locks is just it's been since the beginning of time, right? And all across the world, if you have hair, it will go into a lock. And the idea behind it is that it is an organic style, right? There isn't chemical involved. You are
Mhm.
just allowing your hair to grow and to evolve into its own entity, its own shape, its own energy. And whether or not you maintain it is really personal preference. Whether you are twisting it, interlocking it, crocheting it, or just free forming it. There's no right or wrong journey. It's your personal journey. And I feel that a lot of my clients might have started locks because they love the look of it and they're called to them, but they don't really understand what is so much deeper about what it means to have locks, because there's a commitment there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you had to have it in for a long period of time, right? I'm just
Yeah, so I mean, there are temporary locks, faux locks, they're called, also called synth dreads. Back in the early 2000s, I was very much a little gothic cyberpunk girl. And I had like green, I had yellow and black,
oh my God.
and so they're tied in, and there's different ways to do that as well. But when you commit to locks, yes, you don't start them with the intention of getting rid of them, like anytime soon. And I feel that those people who are ready, or have decided it's the end of that journey or this chapter in their life, is usually coincides with something big that's happening in their life, either a breakup or a new job, or move somewhere, something that's substantial in their life that they're like, you know what, I need to either start a new set of locks, or get rid of these, or start them. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a really big commitment to when you start the process of that, the locks. Interesting. I'm learning so much. I love talking to queens. I just learned so much from the experts. So now it was mentioned, now this is something that I think would help the listeners too. Now it was mentioned you were featured media across the North America, Oprah.Inc. Congratulations. I mean, Hair Advisors and many, many more. So you're a celebrity. And I just want to know, I always say, what's the secret sauce, to recommend to others, the listeners, if they want to become and start this type of, platform?
Do you mean to start in the profession as a loctician, or to start more of an online presence?
Well, really, as a loctician, and how you went from that one point to now that you got to the base where you're at now.
I think this stands with every industry, and with regards to anything in life, you have to really truly follow what gives you passion, right? It just because I make it look easy and I'm successful at it doesn't mean that it's right for somebody else. And you can still love it, but there's also that drive, that incessant calling to whatever it is that you're doing, that I fell into this industry before it was really an industry as such. Like locticians, first of all, we can talk about the segregation between the industry itself, between black hair and essentially Caucasian hair. And that has been my mission since the beginning, since I went to school. When I went to hair school, I was like, why am I not learning about Afro-textured hair? Like paragraphs in my book, this is not okay. And so learning to work with all different hair types and falling into this niche market has worked for me. But at the same time, I'm always trying to learn and from other people and from other techniques, and grow my own business, and just follow my path, follow my own passion. And now more than ever, I feel a responsibility in the community to bridge that gap between the two sides of the industry. And I think a lot of people are really trying to do that, because there's so much more mixing in terms of, we have so many biracial children, and they don't belong in a white salon, they don't belong in a black salon. I was having that discovery 20 years ago when I started as a loctician.
Mhm.
And people would come to me and be like, I want to dreadlock my hair, but I can't. Like, nobody knows how. And I was like, your hair is easy for me because I'm working with straighter textures. And so working
Mhm.
with curly textures, I was like, this is so lovely. Uh,
Mhm.
but of course, there are things that I'm learning constantly along the way. And now
Mhm.
I'm figuring new
Mhm.
things out. The brand, for instance, like
Yes, yes.
always going.
Always going. Well, I'm loving, Karen, what you, like you said, it takes that passion. And like that I said earlier, it's just your purpose, passion, and drive to move you on what you're doing in life. And if you don't have those qualities at the beginning and believe what you want to do and just doing it because you see somebody else doing it, I always tell people don't do that, because that might be their passion. That might not be yours. We all have certain gifts and talents. Not saying you can't do the same thing they're doing, but you want to make sure, like you just stated, that it is your passion, that you wake up like, I love doing this. I want to have an impact in this hair care and what I'm doing, because it's going to be with you. It's tied to you. It's like, indebted. You're like, oh, this is what I do. So I'm glad that you brought that up and mentioned that to listeners, because it's very powerful to know that. And then, like you said, I loved how you mentioned you did see the difference, because I know there's a difference between black and brown women compared to the Caucasian and our hair structure. So a lot of times, I know my beautician told me too, when she was going to school and stuff, there was this little spot part for just, and then all this other for the Caucasian. She's like, wait a minute, I need to learn both, you know. So I want to know everything. If I want to be doing this, I want to know all hair care. So I'm glad that you seen that and said, no, I have to, if I want to do this, I want to do it, all the way. So I
Yeah.
commend you for that, Karen. I really do. So now this is a question I always ask my Queen Diamonds. What would you call, and I know you have a lot of this, but what would you call your main superpower and why?
The gift of gab.
And I'm
I,
glad you said gift,
um,
because it is a gift.
yeah, I kind of, I used my strength, with the ability to communicate to people, the ability to, um, make people feel comfortable. I think that as a hairstylist, I I think that that should be one of your main strengths, actually, right? Not a talker to the point where you're not listening to your client, because I know that hairdressers have a reputation for being catty and reputation for being self-centered and like flamboyant and just my way or the highway. And there needs to be a mutual kind of respect around conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's something that I've learned to kind of take back, like not take back, but just take down a notch kind of thing, because I don't
Mm-hmm.
hear my voice all the time. And but I do feel like it has helped me tremendously, because I love doing interviews. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people, and I
Mm-hmm.
do tell my stories authentically from the heart, because everything that I am now is made up from all of my experiences in the past, and that's how it is with life.
Yeah. Well, I love how authentic you are and how real you are. And I can tell with all your clients, they probably love you doing their hair care, because you're awesome. I love just the conversation we had now. I can see, I can feel the energy of you. So thank you. That's good, because we all need people getting our hair. We need people like you too. Because I know with my beautician, we have conversations, because I got to sit under her for like maybe 2 or 3 hours. We're there. So, you do have the conversations.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to have somebody that's taking care of you and then still taking care of you, like I said, with conversation. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So Karen, any last words to leave for the listeners, and then let them know how they can contact you?
Right. I did want to go back to Noginal for just another moment,
Oh,
because
good.
the one
Awesome.
thing about this product line that maybe your listeners might be confused or not exactly sure about is that even though this was designed for locks, we realized very quickly that it's really designed for protected hairstyles, right? For braids, extensions, wigs, all of that. And the reason why it works for all hair types is because it's focused on the scalp. And at the end of the day, the scalp is either oily or dry. It has nothing to do with the texture and the dryness or oiliness of the hair shaft or the hair follicles themselves. It's about the scalp, not follicles. I stand corrected. The hair itself. So focusing on the scalp, this will work for your hair. It works for my hair, everybody. And
oh, good. That's good to know.
Right. It's probably one of the only brands on the market that truly is for all hair types. So
now, does it help with, like, if you're having a problem with your hair, like hair growth, like, if you're losing hair, because, it could be a lot of things. Does it help in that area too?
Right. So Chill was my first one, and that was for the discomfort of pulling and heat, And one of my clients, a Black African man, said to me, he said, "Can I use that to oil my scalp?" And I was like, not that formula, because it's more of an astringent, but another formula, yeah. And so I came up with Replenish. And so
wow.
Replenish, this is made with, the carrier is grapeseed oil, and that's a very understated oil. It's very light and fast absorbing, so it's not a heavy topical oil. And the essential oils in it are frankincense and lemon peel. And they help to stimulate the hair follicles. It's for hair health. And then I do have one that is actually a carrier treatment oil, and that one is not available yet, but it is a 6 carrier treatment, and that is more topical. It does have distilled castor oil and Jamaican black castor oil, coconut, heavier oils. So,
I'm loving how everything's so natural. I think that's the biggest thing that I love about all your products that you have. It's all natural, and let's see, we're going back to the basics. And I'm thinking about this. I mean, if we go way back, I'm talking about hundreds of years. That's what they did, is use the nature. They use like the things that you're talking about. And we kind of, now that all the chemicals came into effect and all that, and just kind of
it steered us off course.
Yeah, it took us way off course. So now we got to go back to the basics, back to nature. So I'm glad that you're bringing that back for us. And I'm going to have to contact you, because I like that one where it stimulates. So I need to, I think I need to get that.
I'll make sure that Tracy sends down a set for you, and you can share it with your loctician, because I'm sure she'd be very interested in that. Because the great thing is that for a person who needs to get their hair tightened and they don't have time for a proper massage shampoo, the stylist loctician can use this, even a braider can use this, clean the scalp, and then move to the service. And it's done in 10-15 minutes.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. I definitely need to hook her up, and definitely we need to get together and get that. So I'm loving it. So any other last word that you want to leave the listeners? Is any of your wisdom, advice?
I just, you're the author of your own life story is how I live my life, right? Yeah.
That right there is like a mic drop. What you just said. That is a mic drop. Can you repeat that? Because I love that. Just say it one more time. That was good.
You're the author of your own life story.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Karen, thank you so much for allowing me to spotlight you and your business, and just your personality. I love it. I really love it. And hopefully all the listeners that get a chance, I want them to listen to this. I always tell the listeners, these are these diamonds, these queen diamonds, and they're showing you that you can do, if you see them, you can do it too. So you just have to understand your purpose, passion, and drive in your life to get to that point. So I wish you, Karen, all success in your business and in your personal life. Truly, truly. And thank you so much again.
Oh, and I'm on Instagram.
And she's on Instagram. And we will make sure that we tie in everything so they can contact you, Karen. So thank you for joining another special edition of the Diamond Factor Spotlight interview. You can join the community under the Diamond Factor Experience. And if you wish to be spotlighted, just like this Queen Diamond today, please contact me by messenger under the Facebook page. And remember that you have a diamond in you. The diamond factor is, as I stated, and as Karen stated, it's your purpose, passion, and drive. And that's what makes you special. That's what makes you unique, your gifts, your talents, not just for yourself, but to impact the world. So I'll see everybody at the next Diamond Spotlight interview. And Karen, thank you again for gracing my presence. Bye.
I'm hanging on your every word, the love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste